Hello everyone, good morning. I hope you are doing well. In today's video, we have started our microservices architecture and we already completed our three part and today our fourth part. So firstly, if you're not watched part one, part two, so firstly you can start from part one, then part two, and it's a fourth part today we are doing. So if anyone have any question, you can message here. I will try to answer. Okay. So we are just created this architecture in the last video or last class. So here we are creating microservices. So these are four services we are created, and inside these services we are implement onion architecture. So every service inside we are implement onion architecture here. Okay, so we can create from scratch. For example, here, we can start from here. Inside the domain, we have created one class and we can create a separate project for DTOs. Order.dto. So inside this, we are creating a name architecture, and based on your requirement, you can take the class libraries here. So for now, I am using here .NET 8 version, and inside this I can create four main like class library. This is the main solution and this is the class library. Here I can put my all the logic. Inside the domain I will add my domain tables, and in details I will add my details and mapping profile. Okay, so our first step is, because we are using EF core anti-framework code to mapping our database and our classes, how it will be communicate to each other, we need to install three packages. The first one is EF core, or I think this setting we already done here. Okay, here we already installed, so we can start from here in the user. So we need to install these three packages: core, design, and which database we are using. Let's check here also. We are okay. Here we are using SQL database. So it will be work independently, deploy independently. All the things are working independently. Okay. So we can start from simple. We can use SQL database here. So our first step is we can create one table here. Here I will create one user table. We can start from basics. So then we can go. I can create here user table, and here in above the services you can create one project, that is the building block. So where you can put that code that you can use in your whole application. For example, API related filter, middlewares that you want everywhere, every services. So for this you can create another building blocks and you can put their code there. Okay. So if anyone have any confusion or question, you can message here. For example, uh, building blocks means any code that are commonly used everywhere. For example, any exception handling middleware. I want that middleware in order, I want in payment, I want in product and user. So I can reuse the things, so that I can create another solution folder here For example, let me show you. For example, I can create one solution folder, building blocks. Here, I will add some common functionality that will be used everywhere, and I will take the reference and I will reuse. For example, just for understanding, I create a new project and take a class library. I will add here middleware, all the middlewares, common middlewares, you can say, common filter or middlewares. So all the middleware you will add here. For why we are adding outside the services, because I want to reuse everywhere. Because if we put inside this, so it will be used for one service, but we can put outside. So everywhere we can reuse with the help of adding reference here. So firstly we can uh, create it here simple inside this. Here we are using SQL database and EF core we are using here. So what we can do, I can create this user table. Okay, so and now here I will add this thing DTO out also inside the domain. So it's a choice. If you want another class library like this, you can create another class library. So it's easy to expand, like easy to you can understand. Here we can put our DTOs. Here you can put your domain table. Here you can put your business logic. So you can easily understand. So firstly we can check first flow how it will be working. So firstly, we can create one table, public int ID and public string name, public string email. So we can, for now, we can make it simple. This is our first project controller inside the Ani architecture. So we can make it simple. So anyone can easily understand. After this, after creating the DTO, our next step is we can create the request and response. So I will create here class user request detail, or we already explained this detail. If you not write, you can simply write user request and I will make it public. Okay, so in user request I don't want the ID because ID is auto generated and auto increment and family key, so I will add only name and email. And in the response I will make one user response. So here I want to show all the details. So why we create the details, so that I don't want to expose my domain table outside this domain folder. We can communicate with the help of DTO for the security purpose or faster retrieving data from the database. So that's why we are using DTOs here. And after creating the DTO, we need to create the mapping profile, like how this thing will be mapped to each other. So I will add here one plus user mapping, and we can use Automapper. We have a two type of mapping. One is a manual mapping or another one is with the help of Automapper. That time we can install the package. So here I will inherit a file. So this to get this namespace we need to install Automapper. Please wait a minute. I will come here. So anyone have any question? You can message me here. So using the Automapper, we need to install one package, that is Automapper. So we need to install one package. We can go here and solution. I want Automapper. This one, Automapper extension dot Microsoft for dot dependency injection. So this one we need to install, and where we need to install this, I want here inside the product dot API and data. So I will use its version and install this. So now you can see I am able to use this namespace. I'm getting a reference using Automapper. So here next step is we can map that table, create map. Firstly, I can map user response detail. So you can see our domain table in another class library. So we need to add the reference. We need to put this thing inside here. And another thing is we need to create map user response to. So here you can get the data and pass to user response. Here you can get data from user request. So like that it will be working. So after this, our step is we need to add the mapping. And after mapping, we can create here another table where we can put the configuration here. So all the configuration I will put here. One thing is you can add all the thing in the application product DB context here. But when you have a large project and multiple things, so it's very difficult to manage in one solution. So we can make different configuration for every table. So I will create here user configuration. So before watching this part 4, firstly you can watch the first 3 part, then you have an idea what we are doing here. Like first 2 part, it's the third part. So here we need to insert entity, right? And we can pass and insert this interface. So here we can configure, for example, builder dot property. I want name is a required. name is required. So inside the user table, I want name is required. So here I can add this validation. Name is required and name is unique. Email is required. If I set it not properly, you are getting error here. Vendor dot has index. So I want to make it unique. I want to make name unique. So this configuration you also directly do in the application TV context. But it's very difficult to handle in large applications. So that's why we are creating separate configuration here. And here we are add our table that is public TV set user and to because we are adding our configuration another class, so we need to add this called override void on model creating. Because this thing we need to add here. Model dot builder dot apply configuration and assembly dot get configuration. Assembly dot get execution assembly. So this thing we need to add here. Here we need to add this outer bucket. Model creating. So here we are getting let's ChatGPT. Okay. Okay. Here we can use protected, not a public. Protected means it can be used inside same assembly. Okay. So this is our next step. And this is actually we are creating microservices architecture, and inside this we can use onion architecture. So every here we are just creating the setup. So every time when we create a new controller, we can follow same pattern here. And this is done. I We can added this table inside this, and then we can run the migration and update database. Okay, so we can add the migration here. Let's check. We are adding these settings. We already added, and we already added this connection string here. All the thing good. Then we can go here, and where I want to create the migration, I want to create here product.data. So I need to select this as a startup project. So we already selected product.api. So I can add here, add migration, add user table. Okay, so we are added this migration, and then we can update this database. So it's a very important question in .NET interview, like how microservices architecture. So this is the actual way when real projects is working in any company. When we have a large scale of application, so we can create a microservices architecture. So every developer, every team are working in different service. For example, in any company, one team is working on order, so they will work related to order, like all the deployment. So every team are working independently, not dependent to each other. So every module here working like inside one service, you have a multiple services here. That's called a microservices or monorepo architecture. It's a very important when you can give any interview. This is the one of the most important question. Like you have a in-depth knowledge how it will be working. Here we can create the building blocks, means all the common logic we can put here. So if anyone have any question or confusion, you can message here. I will try to answer. Okay, now what we can do, we can add the migrations here for the user table, and update database. So it means this table will be created in the database. Okay, so this thing will be done in our side. Next step is we can create the interface here related to the user, and then we can create its implementation, and after implementation I will create its controller. So this is the basic step we already do multiple times. So I can create interface here. I user interface. So here I will make some flow. So every time if we create a next time, so we are using same flow. Every time your interface will be inside here. Same like if you're working in any live project, we can just created the structure. We need to follow same like that way. If we created all the domain table here, so you will add here your details, then mapper, then configuration, then you can add in the DB context, then you can add the migration, then you can create the interface. So I will create the interface. So interface means you are just declaring the method, not giving the definition, and with the help of interface we are able to achieve the abstraction. And with the help of interface you can implement multiple inheritance in C sharp. Without, like, with the help of classes we are not implement multiple inheritance. So these are the important question in the interview perspective. So here, what is the interface? So in the interface we are just declaring the method, and it provide the flexibility. You can give a different definition and you can reuse this. In the interface, we are just declaring the just defines the method, and its implementation we can give in the service here. And we are able to achieve dependency injection. That is the most important question in an interview, how we can achieve the dependency injection. So we can achieve dependency injection with the help of interface, and we are achieved to implement dependency injection with the help of interface. We are achieved to achieve abstraction with the help of interface. So all the thing we can get with the help of interface here. So if you watch from first video, you can easily create this project, because all the thing I will try to make it as simple. If you are a fresher, still you can easily understand the flow. And in this architecture, very big applications are working in the backend side or in the front end. Also, we are using this architecture. For example, first one is I will creating for the create. So here I need to pass my request detail, user request detail, user request detail. Second thing is gateway ID. Okay, you can see I am getting error here because mistakenly I will give the name here class. It's a not class, it's an interface. So we can achieve abstraction with the help of interface because it hide the implementation and showing only the essential thing. We are able to achieve dependency injection with the help of interface. And then we are creating here task. So if you're giving any .NET interview, this is very important topic. For example, here I am creating for a get all method. So here I am using in a enumerable, and next one is I will create it here task for update, and last one for delete. Okay. So here we are just declaring, just give the definition of the method. So this is the interface. And the next step is we need to give the implementation. So it's your choice. You can create the another folder here for the services, or you can directly make it outside. So we can make some proper way. We can create one folder first, services, and we are creating here one class, that is user interface. Okay. So in the interface, which oops concept we can achieve? Anyone have idea? Used. Okay, you can watch the previous video. In the previous video, I will explain in deeply, but I can just revise. So you can see here, this is my uh, project service and product service. Inside this I will implement onion architecture, and this is my main project. And another two I will take the class library to loose coupling things are independently, not putting all the things in one solution because it's very difficult to handle in a large project. So inside domain I will add my domain table and details. So if you want a separate class library, you can make the separate. For now here I will create one model. Here my all the domain table that actually created in my database. And here I can create the DTO because I don't want to expose my secure table or my domain table outside my, so no one fetch our secure data. For example, you have a user, you have a password, I don't want to show password. So if we directly use the user, so in the response you will pass here user table. So if you added inside the user table password, so anyone can easily fetch your password. So that's why I am communicate with the help of DTO, not showing my this domain table. This is only I added here inside the DB context. So outside this I will communicate with the help of my DTOs, because I don't want to expose my secure table outside here. And again, for example, in your user table, I want to fetch only one thing. And if you don't use DTO, every time you are fetching three fields, so it's also time consuming and slow your application performance. So that's why we are creating DTO. So based on your requirement, you can create the DTO. If you want name, so you can create the DTO user DTO, and you can put only the name. So we can fetch the specific detail, not fetching all the detail in one time. Okay, so that's why we are creating this DTO. And after this we are creating mapper. So here we are using Automapper to map our domain table to our DTOs. So firstly, for example, if you getting data user table to DTO in the response, so it will goes here. And another one is you can request from the from body, from the Swagger you can get the request, and you can save in your domain table, because actually data is saved in your database or domain table. So like that we can do the mapping. Another one is configuration we are adding. For example, if you want a name is required, name is a unique email, so this configuration we will add here. And in the DB context we are adding all the table. So this is the actual table name will be created in the database, because we can put everything inside the DB set here. Next, we can create a interface. Here we are just declaring the method. And last one is interface. Here we can do the implementation, and here we can insert that user class. Is it clear? Still anyone have any doubt? You can message here. I just, but you can watch the last video where I think I will explain in the detail where I can created this folder. Then you have a better idea. Okay, private. Sorry, here we can add our application DB. Sorry, we have a product DB context. So we will create public user interface DB context, and here we can add this DB context here. Here we can make the constructor, and inside the constructor we can inject our DB context here. So here we are using Automapper. We also need to add here Automapper, private read only mapper, and we need to add the namespace. And then here, and here. Okay. So in the first, you can get data from your request body and pass to your user table. So I will add here, if user request data is equal to null, then you can throw the error or return null. Otherwise, variable user, how we can get the user with the help of this. So this is my, we can use mapper. So this is my source, that is user request detail, and this is destination. So how it is data goes like that way. This is the source, this is the destination. So if you see here, this is my source, this is the destination. So execute a mapping from the source object to new destination. So it automatically handle by this automapper, like with this package we are installed here, this one. So with the help of this thing will be managed. And after this we are using async programming, so we need to add here async, and then we can add these changes in the database. Await context dot add, Then we are doing await save changes async, and I need to return this user response. So now we can get data from the user table and pass to this response. So reverse thing I need to do here, return. So like that it will be working. Next for the delete, if id is equal to 0, like equal to 0, then you can return false. And also we need to write a sync. And then otherwise we can find that user and we can save that changes and return true. Like also we can add the validation, if null then return false, otherwise you can remove that changes and return true. Next for the get all method, so context dot users dot as not tracking to list async. So when we are getting data, we are not tracking anything. We are just getting data from the database. That time we are using as not tracking. So it will faster retrieve the data, because if we do update and add, that time it will be track the changes. So when we are getting data, we can use this thing. Okay. So this is for the get ID, and last one is update. Here again we are using sync, and here again we are using await, and here we are using find async. Sorry, find async. Okay, and here I'll map like that way. And last one is update variable user. Again we are using find async, and if user null, that time return null, otherwise we can map. So in the when we are updating, we are using like that mapper. So here this is the source and this is the destination. So this is your source, this is your destination, and then await save changes sync and return this mapper. Return mapper. Okay, so this is the basic thing I will done here, and the next part is I need to create the controller here. So firstly I will create one controller, and we can create one CRUD operation I will complete. So nothing new we will add here. All the things we already completed in the last projects. And here what we can do. Sorry. Add controller. We need to choose this API controller. Users controller. Okay, so this controller I will create it here, and privately I will inject our iUser interface. So with the help of this, we are able to achieve dependency injection. Dependency injection means rather than putting all the code in same controller, we can call from outside here. So we are just calling the method that we are creating here. Okay. So we can create here method HTTP post for just create, and we can call the method request video, or next we can create a method get by ID HTTP. Okay, so here we can just calling that method this implementation we can do here inside our service here. So next we can create the method for get all HTTP get all, and again we are calling this method, and next for we can create for update, or we are creating for create method, yeah, create only update or HTTP HTTP put. We are just adding update backslash ID here. So this is for update, and last one for delete. So this is the basic setup I will done here to creating the CRUD operation. So I will save all the changes. Okay. After this, we need to register this here in the program.cs file, builder dot dependency injection, builder dot services dot add scope, and we can pass I user interface, comma user interface. So this is in outside here. So to done this, we need to add uh, like this is in another class library. So I user interface. We need to register here. Okay. Mm, that's, I think little bit wrongly we can type here. Okay, I think we need to set like that way. Okay, so we need to add the namespace here. So now our user interface in, sorry, this is the user interface. I can give a wrong name here. I need to rename the user service, not a user interface, user service here. Okay, now all the things are done here, and we need to register Automapper here because we are working in another class library. Register the Automapper here, so we can write builder dot, yeah, Automapper add domain. Okay, so now we are just run this solution and check our CRUD operation is working or not. So let's create one record. Is equal to graph. ram@gmail.com. So this is very simple way I will explain. You can easily implement this thing in your system. And nothing new we will add here. Just create the structure and creating simple uh, and this CRUD operation. So it's working. So it's the first step. We are just creating one architecture. Next thing is we can do some improvement here. For example, every time you need to register this service. For example, if you have 1,000 of interface and 1,000 of service, so that's very difficult to manage here, and your this file is very long to handle. So to resolve this, we can create some common code here. So we don't need to register every time here. We can add just simple attribute here. So we will write some custom code. For example, here we can use for this dependency injection for the add scope. So I will add here simple attribute here, not every time added there. So it's easy because here you can add a multiple interface. So it's very difficult to manage because all the things middleware we can add in our program.cs file. This is my entry point. So it's very difficult to handle. So that's why I will make some custom code. And every time when I can create the interface, I just added this attribute here. And here I will add a single line like that custom code. I will register here on the one time. So like that we can do some improvement. But for now, you can just create this structure in your system. Like all the structure you can try to create. Firstly, you can watch the previous video where I can create the structure because it's very difficult to create because you can create here blank solution, then you can add this. So in the first time it will be difficult, and after creating this structure, you can easily move to the next part. Okay, thank you. So this is done for today class. In the next incoming class, we can make some middleware and we can put some common code here and we can try to uh, like optimize our code and try to put some common code. Okay, thanks for watching. If you like this video and if you want the next part, please comment down in this video. Bye bye.